All right, people, check this out. Let me know if you think right here, this looks like a ShadCN template. No, it doesn't. This is ShadCN, however, but we've really customized it with the use of Unicorn.Studio and also integrated animations with the GreenSock Animation Platform. I'm going to show you all how to set this up using the ShadCN MCP server with Cursor, along with a few other tools. Let's get started. Okay, so here we are in Cursor. The first thing you're going to want to do is hit Control-L, and then to get up the chat window, and then we'll come up here, and we're going to specify chat settings, and then come over to tools and integrations. Now you can see I do not have the ShadCN MCP server. So that's the first step. We need to get that integrated. And so to do that, go to this URL. It's linked here in the description. And you want to scroll all the way down past here into the Cursor installation section right here. We're going to grab just this portion right here, all right, from that line to this line. All right, so copy that, and we're going to go to New MCP Server. And then right here, you're going to see, yours might be different, but you know, this is the basic scaffolding. Whatever MCP servers you may or may not have, we're going to put a comma right after this one where I have Figma, and then paste that in. All right, and get rid of that comma right there. Now, you're not done yet, because what you need to do is specify your token from GitHub. All right, so I'm going to show you where to do that. All right, so you're going to do that right here at this URL, settings/personal access tokens, and click generate new token. Token name, ShadCN test2. No description, whoever the resource owner is, expiration, whatever. Public repositories is fine. Just go ahead and click generate and generate token. All right, and then here's your token. You're going to want to copy that and then paste that into the relevant section. Okay, so I've pasted it in there. You hit save, and it should show up right when you go back here to Cursor settings, right here. 7 tools, 5 prompts enabled. I'm not gonna click this because it will show my key. Now there's different ways to go about hiding that, like putting your environment variable, but no big deal for now. So what we'll do is go to terminal, new terminal. So the first command that we're going to issue is npx create next app at latest my app. Now my app is going to be the name of it or the folder name that it creates, like in your code folders. So I'm going to specify stats AI. Hit enter, and now it's going to ask you a few questions. Yes, we'll use TypeScript. No for ESLint. Yes for Tailwind CSS. We'll put yes for source. Yes for app router. Yes. And no, basically just all default options essentially. All right, now we're gonna run npm run dev. Oh, and by the way, people, make sure to check out DesignCourse.com. That's my service where I teach UI UX and also app development and website development using AI. And in a second, it's gonna show localhost 3000, control left click. Here is the actual app. Now, the next thing we're gonna do is integrate ShadCN into the project itself. So that is going to be, we're going to click plus to create a new terminal, right click here. This is going to be the command, npx ShadCN at latest init. We're going to hit enter on just the base color, neutral. And what it does is create a globals.css file, and that's where we're going to be pasting in our altered styles essentially. So if I go back here and we go to our page, we could see it screwed up the styling, but what we need to do is go back to the other terminal, hit Control C, hit Y to stop it, and then hit up arrow key to rerun npm run dev. Now if I just Control left click one more time, after it's done building, there we go. It was a dark mode version before, but now it has our light mode. So now that's the way we know that it's actually integrated with ShadCN. So now we can do something like, we can tell the LLM, we could be like, I've integrated let me zoom up here, ShadCN into this Next.js project. Ensure that by default, we're using dark mode. All right, so now we can see it's using dark mode. Awesome. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to TweakCN, and if you go to TweakCN.com, let me just refresh this, and you click Start Customizing. You could click here in order to access a bunch of predefined templates. And what these are going to do is just style the colors and the topography if you wish, and you can customize all of it. So if I click these next buttons, you can kind of see how drastically different these all can look, essentially. So I'm going to use one called Violet Bloom right here. And you can come down here, you can edit all the colors as you wish. You can click topography, you can modify that. There's a other section as well. But really, what you could do now is just click code when you're happy with it, and then hit copy right here. There's a selector for root, for dark, and for theme inline. Now, once that's copied, we want to go into our source folder, app folder, globals.css. And then we select the theme inline selector, which is one of the selectors that we have already ready to be pasted, the root selector, and the dark selector. Once we do that, we're going to hit Control V just to save it. Now, if we go back to our next app, you can't tell it really what anything changed, but the background has changed. It's now using this theme, but we can't really tell because we don't have any ShadCN components being utilized from the ShadCN MCP server. So now it's time to construct our prompt in order to have it generate like our SaaS landing page. So I've already come up with the prompt. And if I go here, I'll read it here real quickly for you. Now, use the ShadCN MCP server to bring in necessary components to build a SaaS landing page for an AI-driven website, analytics, and sales platform called Stats AI. The design should be fully fluid, meaning it's going to go all the way out to the very left and right edge of the browser, regardless of how large it is. Integrate a nav bar with the logo on the left, a primary nav in the middle with 5 links, and a nav bar CTA buttons on the right that say join up and log in. CTA is industry lingo for UI UX designers, meaning call to action. There was a fly trying to attack my head. Join up should be emphasized with the primary color, and then login will be secondary. The hero section should span 100 viewport height, VH. What that is regardless of the size of the height of the viewport or the browser, it should span that entire width, that hero section. The hero section is just another UI UX industry lingo for saying this is a section that has the headline, a subheadline typically, a call to action of some sort, in like an illustration. And then feature a large headline that is aligned to the lower left corner of the design with good white space away from the browser edges, and the headline should say Intelligent Analytics Finally, with a CTA button called Try It Out. The background of this hero section will eventually include a Unicorn.Studio interactive background element. If you don't know what that is, don't worry, you're going to find out in a bit. Designate a div that sits behind everything for this purpose and labeled as such. And this is going to be the only initial prompt that I give it. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in and hope to heck that it works. All right. All right, let's see the results. All right. It did what I wanted it to do. It doesn't have any sections underneath it. So what I'm going to do is ask it to add just a couple generic sections. So down here, I'm going to say, add a few more sections to this landing page while utilizing ShadCN components. All right, let's check this bad boy out. Hopefully there's no significant errors. All right, that looks like a good section to me. Pricing section, testimonial section, footer. Everything is ready to rock. Awesome. Okay, so what's cool is now that we have that integrated, we can go back to TweakCN rather, and we should be able to just drastically change up the appearance of this design, like this one right here. This is kind of crazy looking, right? Just by going to copy and click copy here, and then go back and simply going back here and just kind of replacing all the role sets and then hitting save and then going back to our app and look at this. It's all integrated into a new color scheme. That is pretty freaking cool. Now I'm going to undo that so that we go back to that template that we had before, just like this. And now this is the point where we can kind of really start to experiment with really starting to customize it. And there's a lot of different tools at your disposal for doing this. Unicorn.Studio is one of them. And basically it is a no-code approach to integrating shader effects. Now, if you don't know what that is, they're just basically GPU powered. So you have to be really careful with this because it can make your site slow if you're overusing it. Very important. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's say, for instance, back here, because this is a very bland, boring hero section, right? There's literally nothing here except for a headline. What if we had some type of interesting, really interactive effect here in the background? So we can go to Unicorn.Studio, and I'm going to click log in. I already have an account. And here it is. So there's some predefined templates here. So if you click on any of these, like this one, for instance, this will be something that can be integrated on your landing page, which is pretty crazy. There's a lot of cool effects. You can use their templates or you can build stuff from scratch. I've already done videos on this, so you can just do a channel search. So let's say, for instance, we want to do like a what's called a glyph dither. So we have layers over here, which you can customize. There's a lot of customizable properties. So let's say, for instance, we don't want the text. Just delete that. But we want this 3D shape. So we're going to click on 3D shape, and we can change in the property inspector all these different properties essentially. So maybe we want to do something different like for this shape. So let's do this one, the tri-cylinder. All right. So again, you can change the scale of this thing. You can make it follow your mouse by scrolling down. So like track mouse. So if we increase this a lot, it's really going to follow the mouse. I think that's pretty good. Maybe I want to change the default X position, push it here to the right since there's some text on the left. The text will be over here. So this is going to be underlaid behind everything. Another thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that the background matches up with the background on our page. And there's a couple of different ways to do that. We can click on background and we can hide it, for instance. But I don't want to take that approach. And one of the problems is if I do change this color here, it doesn't accurately change because it has this glyph dither effect in the background. So I don't want to do that. What I'll do instead is create a rectangle up here and just kind of draw it out and then just choose fit to artboard in this toggle right there. And then what we can do is we can grab the background color from our code. So let's go back to cursor. We're going to go right here where it says, let's see here, there's a background color. All right, it says 1A1B1E. That's the hex code. We're just going to copy that, and then we're going to paste it right there. Now we can't see it, which means we need to change the blend mode. Now we can see it. I think that actually looks pretty cool right there. And there's another thing that's happening, like this image is affecting kind of how it is. So I'm just going to make this larger, this image here. I'm not going to go into a really robust width. Let's just turn this up. There we go. I'm just going to make this large. There we go. Okay, that's pretty cool. I think that's cool for now. So once you're happy with it, we're going to hit export, go to embed right there. And what we'll do is copy this code section. Then I'm going to take this and then in here, what I'm going to do is in the chat section, I'm just going to paste in that script code. And then underneath it in the prompt, I'm going to say, this is a Unicorn.Studio project. Place it in the Unicorn.Studio div I told you about earlier. Ensure that it is 100% width and height. Hit enter. And hope it works. Okay. For some reason it says we have one issue. But look at that. Look how cool that is. Now this no longer looks like a ShadCN template. I do want to fix this. The line height kind of sucks here. It's too high. But this is super cool. And just how easy it is to integrate this type of stuff. Now, obviously, Unicorn.Studio is even way more powerful. There's a lot of things you can do with it, but that's just one of the things that you can do essentially to make your templates look interesting, animated, interactive, and unique. Now, let's say, for instance, we're not happy with this section. Very cookie cutter, whatever. Let's create our own testimonial section while directing the AI to integrate still the usage of ShadCN templates, but we're going to make it unique. Now, here's the prompt I'm going to give it. So underneath the hero section should be a series of testimonial cards, 2 rows, each with 10 cards. The top row should slowly animate to the left, and the bottom row should slowly animate to the right. Both are infinite marquees, meaning they're just infinite scrolling things that just go on forever. Each testimonial card should have an avatar, a person's name, their quote, and the company they represent. All right, so what we'll say is use ShadCN components where necessary. And I will tell it because it already utilized and has its own testimonial section. Remove the current testimonial section. There we go. All right, so I'm going to copy this and paste that in, and let's give it a shot. All right, and here we go. That is exactly what I wanted. That is freaking awesome. All right, so we have these little avatars here. They can be changed into images if we wanted to specify it as such. And now, how can we further even really make this more interesting in terms of animation? Well, what we can do is we can integrate something called GreenSock Animation Platform. It's a JavaScript approach to creating UI animations, and they can be like sequence animations, complex animations. So let's say, for instance, we wanted this intelligent analytics text right here, the headline, to based on, you know, a single character. Each character will kind of fly into place. Let's try it out. First thing I'll do is go back to, we'll create a new terminal, and I'm going to say npm I GSAP. All right, so that's going to install GSAP, or the GreenSock Animation Platform. And now I'm going to go ahead and specify a new prompt. I installed GSAP. Use it to create a sequence, or stagger rather, a stagger animation on the headline type, one character at a time. Each character should animate from the Y position down and up into the default position. Make sure that each word is encased in its own div so that the parent div is overflow hidden. This is some CSS stuff. I'll describe it in a second. That way the characters are animating from nowhere. This animation should occur on load. All right, we're going to go ahead and see if it does it. So essentially what this is saying is we want to have each character, and it does this through JavaScript. It's going to break the characters up in their own elements essentially. And then it's going to ensure that with the overflow hidden on its parent container, that when they fly up into place, it looks like it's kind of flying from nowhere, and there's like an invisible clipping mask essentially from where they're coming. So we'll see if this works. All right, I did not restall. All right, Deb, look at that. It worked. Oh yeah, that is so cool. So let's refresh. All right, I'm gonna fix the line height issue real quick. There we go, way better. So let's refresh. Ah, nice. Okay, let's scroll down. Let's see what else might be interesting. Now let's also tell it to use the GreenSock Animation Platform so that when we scroll down, it's going to take each of these cards and it's going to animate them on the y-axis with opacity 0 to 1. So let's see what that looks like. When the user scrolls down, create a scroll activated animation for the testimonial cards. They should animate on the y-axis about, we'll say 100 pixels from default position, and with opacity 0 going to 1. Use GSAP to make it a stagger animation for all of the cards. All right, let's try this out and see what it does. All right, I'm scared. Oh, look at that. That was cool. Hold on, let's refresh. Here's our animation for the type. Okay, so there's a slight issue where the other ones didn't fly into place, the second row. So let's see if we can get it to fix that, because that is really cool how that works. Yeah, for some reason there's a delay. The top row of cards, when I scroll down, animate in just fine. However, the bottom row of cards takes about a couple seconds until you see them animate in. They should animate in right after the first row of cards. All right, let's check it out. Refresh. Oh, look at that. That is cool. That is very cool. So one more time, we'll take a look at that. Oh, so sick. So sick.